here live in London और आज की ख़ास बात ये है कि क्वीन का फ्यूनरल हुआ है
इधर
और राइट हियर क्वीन का फ्यूनरल हुआ है। वो लोग जिन्होंने अभी ज्वाइन किया है, आपको बताता चलूँ कि हमारे साथ हैं इकबाल लतीफ़ साहब। इकबाल लतीफ़ साहब जो हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा हिस्ट्री पर अबूर रखते हैं, ख़ास तौर पे जब हम बात करें कि पाकिस्तान इंडिया में जो ब्रिटिश राज रहा उसके हवाले से भी बात होगी। अभी हम यूट्यूब पर लाइव हैं और बाद में भी शेयर बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे हो जाएगा, तो आप उधर अपना कमेंट दे सकते हैं। इकबाल साहब, आज जो मलका आलिया यहाँ पे जो है उनका फ्यूनरल हुआ है, जो उनकी सर्विस रही है, उस हवाले से थोड़ी सी रोशनी डालिए कि जो लोगों में हमने उनके लिए मोहब्बत देखी है, वो बहुत कम देखने में होता है कि लोग जब हुक्मरान चले जाते हैं तो इस तरह अपनी मोहब्बत का इज़हार करते हैं कि अगर हम अभी लोगों को दिखाएं भी तो ये देखिए साथ में अभी तक लोग जो हैं वो जोक दर जोक लाइन बना के अभी भी आ रहे हैं, जो कि कई दिनों से यहाँ पे मौजूद थे लोग।
हेलो। तो हम लोग इस स्पॉट पर थे आज, और इतना खुशनसीबी की बायस है कि हम लोग इस इलाके में रहते हैं, और ऊपर 140 पार्क लेन के ऊपर कोई 30 साल से मैं वहाँ पर मेरा घर है, और क्लस्टर स्क्वायर पर। और ये लेट मी टेल यू द हिस्ट्री। दिस इज़ द वेलिंगटन नंबर 1 लंदन। वेलिंगटन, दिस इज़ द प्लेस नंबर 1 वेलिंगटन। वो सामने उसको दिखा, number 1 Wellington. That's and Wellington. We all know Wellington through Battle of Waterloo or Napoleonic War that finally ended Napoleon's empire. So Wellington को ये उनका number 1 London है. This is number 1 London. Here, if you look at it, here is London number 1 in the yellow building behind me. It's the Wellington number 1. This is the Wellington Arch right in front of it, and that's on top of it is Quadrigo. इससे पहले इसके ऊपर जो था वो विलिंगटन का हॉर्स पर एक वो था स्टैचू, so that was taken out, but this is Quadriga, and this is where on the other side, अगर आप देखें उसके other side पर King Charles was there, and the entire royal family, and that's where the coffin of the Queen was. Right on the other side. This door is rarely opened. I've never seen this door open on occasions, on royal occasions. So you're allowed, otherwise this door is always closed. This area is usually we are allowed to come across. This is Park Lane. If you look at it, down one of the most expensive street and most beautiful street that connects north to the London, so heart of London. This is Belgravia, and this is the new hotel. This is Landsborough, the famous Landsborough Hotel, and that's a new Peninsula coming in, one of the best hotels. Behind me is Peninsula, and this is Intercontinental, and that's the Hilton Park Tower. That's the Royal Mandarin. Harrods is straight down there. So anyway, that's where the Buckingham Palace wall, that brown wall is Buckingham Palace wall. This was a part, basically Wellington Arch was a part of Buckingham Palace. It was not like, then it was changed. The Constitution Hill is that's a green park. So that's Piccadilly. If you look at, go down that lane. So just that's what defines this beautiful place. And we are here. So आप मुझसे क्या सवाल पूछ रहे थे?
I wanted to talk a little about the Queen, how she's loved by millions here, the way we have seen over all these days that people haven't actually, you know, shown any less love for her despite she has passed away and it's been
Love
few days.
increases when
Yeah.
you miss something. When she was around, she was part of life of England for 72 years, 73 years as a queen, and then as she has left, now she's even more revered. She's more missed because she kept this nation in a good, nice, polite, elegant manner. She had an art of elegance that very rare rulers have, and monarchs have. She had simplicity about it. She understood the mood of the nation, and understatement is inevitably a part of English life. You cannot be grandiose and broad mouth and nonsense is not acceptable in this society. So an understatement is a very much integral part of this society. So she was something that she understood the psyche of the English nation and ruled with a kind of a balance, a human balance that accorded her the respect that English have for a person who is sincere, who is, they are very much concerned about person be humble. Her life was dedicated, her reign was dedicated towards service of her nation and her people, and the Commonwealth nation at large. So that is something that is that leaves a long-term impact on people, on kind of people that she was, and also the kind of people we are. So we are new people here, but this nation goes back thousands of years, the Normans, Anglo-Normans and Anglo-Saxons and all, so from Battle of Hastings to now. So there is a long history to it. So you cannot deny history in this mood of nation and this way English people have held their crown in great esteem and regard. So of course there was kind of Cromwell, there was the rebellions, there were things, but at the end of the day, monarchy is a subtle bond that ties English people and Welsh and at the moment United Kingdom together. We don't know, there are separatist movements, but despite of the fact, monarchy is something that keeps head of state is a gel for nations who have got diversity as a part of their culture, their music, their food, but this puts them together as one nation. So that's what the role of the subtle role of a king is, not to run the nation by power or through stick, but through subtlety of her or his conduct. That will be the great test of King Charles III.
And while having our coffee a while ago, you passed on a very interesting comment that actually monarchs are not taking a lot away and they're giving back to this country. How is that?
The point is that people don't seem to understand. They keep asking, oh, taxpayers are paying for all this. First of all, paraphernalia here is nothing new. Nothing new has been constructed. Few trains have come. Look, trains have come now, they're taking away. This is a site, for 2 hours, 3 hours ago, this site was the center of the entire activity. The crux of the activity happened here. Now, within 3 hours, everything is being dismantled and taken away. So there is no kind of huge amount of expenditure. The paraphernalia of English society, the army and the National Health Service and the bureaucracy and the Whitehall and entire government, the 20,000 policemen, they all security, individual companies, corporate authorities, all of them came out together to pay tribute. So it is not a very huge expense on the government. It's a part of that government runs every day, and they have most of these people take great pride in being here and serving and paying a send off and sending her off with the elegance and honor that deemed very important for her stature and for her service. The reign of Queen Elizabeth the Great will be remembered because this will be a reign of peaceful era. She has seen so many up and downs. So in my opinion, that's what it is, that they take. So when you see London, you know how many people were watching this? This is 1.5 billion people. And most of these people, can you imagine the amount of publicity that London gets? Our city gets so much of publicity, like we are talking about this thing. It was right in the center. Australian seat, entire Commonwealth nations were covering it. America was covering it. The OECD countries were covering it. Entire Europe, I know, France is covering it. And all this publicity is good publicity in the sense that the royal family brings a kind of a drama and kind of a soap opera in life. So it's not like a film. when we see a soap opera and film and it becomes a box office hit, we have to spend 100 million pounds to create a box office hit for 3 hours. Here, we have been seeing in 10 days thousands of hours, where billions of people have been watching England in a great light and great character, the meticulous nature of their discipline, the ability of English army and navy and forces to give a send-off to their commander-in-chief, the ability of the nation to come up in millions. 1 million people today are supposed to be here on the streets and in Windsor, so there's to see the send-off, and this brings a nation together. This is a very good show. Peaceful transfer of reign. When a king is dead, they say king is dead, long live the king. So basically what happens, that is the reason that after years of transitions where there was bloody transitions, a lot of people were killed and a lot of people were dying. This is the kind of transition which everyone expects. You see my point? A peaceful transition of power. That's what was known as insurrection on 6th of January. If you start having a transition of power question, if the constitution is cancelled, then it becomes a very big problem. So that is something extraordinary. So as you see, England is now, much as it is, you can say, okay, pound has come down to parity even 20 years ago. Black September, I remember when George Soros made so much money. But that is not an issue. The issue is that the discipline of a nation, the peaceful nature of reign transferring from Queen Elizabeth after 72 years to King Charles with dignity and honor and color and jubilation of celebration of her life, and with her grandson King George, her great grandson King George, who will be a king when we are all long gone. It will be in 2080 or 90 or 2021 century when King George will go to the next eternal kingdom after 180, 90, 100 years. He will be 110 years, who knows. This will be all remembered. So this continuity of creation of history, there are no moments of history anymore. History is now always looked back at 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th century. These are moments of history which are now being televised. Before, when you are looking, so King George V in 1936, when he lay in the same, Westminster House, that was in painting. No live transmission was possible. Now, with this last transmission, a new history has been created. New followers have been created. Maybe monarchy may stay or may not stay, or become in a different form, or more malleable form, or more basic normal people like Sweden, the Netherlands has a queen, Spain have as a king, but with less nostalgia, with less opulence, with less bombast, the way English monarchies. But this character has its own bright side to it. It brings a lot more to the nation than it takes away from the nation.
Yeah. And at the same time,
you see, they say that entire wealth of 15 billion pound was passed, but Prince Charles does not have the right to, or Duchy, Prince of Wales, all this area, Gloucestershire, so they don't have the right to sell. The entire money which comes to the exchequer, and then from the exchequer they are giving 25% of that. So their own assets are running their own shows. They have their personal wealth, of course, but this is something that they bring much more, in my personal opinion, than they take away.
That's a very interesting perspective, and at the same time, you also think about the hardships she has taken all these years, especially after the passing away of Lady Diana.
Princess Royal, she attends 400 functions a year. All the hospices, all the broken houses, all the council houses, all the poor stricken people, and then higher charities, they run it. Princess Trust has helped 50,000-60,000 young people. find a job. So Princess Trust, I support it, and Prince Charles Princess Trust is one of the most available and to the needy. So they take people from the deprived communities and train them. So that is all the part. Royals, what do? They do supervise charity. They bring a kind of credibility to the structure of charity that is used and utilized to make life of people better. So that's what they're not engaging themselves in developing lands. You will never see that. They're not part of the culture that they will make a 300 canal house somewhere. They are not into these things. Therefore, they are above all these things. They are not part of a society where they will be looking into, making money. Making money is not considered as elegant in this in royalty. They are more geared. They have been, so they give sacrifice. To be honest with you, so like if Prince Harry wanted to be part of a different, he had to go out of the non-working royal. He had to give up everything what he had from the royalty. So those royals who were actively part and working royals, they are not part of the active scene on commercial world, in commercial world. So it's not like Trump Tower and Trump can have unashamedly take what he wants from everybody and then still take money from it. Royals don't do that. So there is a very good conduct. This discipline has to be appreciated, in my personal opinion.
That's lovely. And what about, I wouldn't really like to talk about it, but just some gist of it, people claiming that, Kohinoor belonged to us, and all those rude remarks after, not even 24 hours had passed, and such images were made viral, unfortunately, that, वो जो ताज का वो है, crown है, उसमें ये हीरा अफ्रीका का है, ये वाला जो है वो इंडिया का है और वो वाला वहाँ का है, तो ये क्या?
No, but you see my point that it's a very sad thing. Every time we look at it. First of all, one of the most important things is that 1850 when Kohinoor was first displayed in an exhibition here, 1850. The concert of Queen Elizabeth. It was not very much liked. You know that very well.
Yeah.
So it was not very much liked. It was.
Yeah.
So it was not very much liked, by the way. So the cut was. It did not have the kind of cuts. So it was a concert. Edward.
Yeah. If you give me a second, I'll
Albert,
share that on
Prince Albert.
Facebook as well. Just a minute, and then we are gonna come here back to this, please. Here you go. No. Okay. Just leave it. We'll share it later. All right.
So basically, Prince Albert was the one who asked Corbin Jewelers, I think, or someone in London to recut it. It was originally found in back in 1200 or 1300 in Hyderabad, Deccan, from a mine, and that mine was, and then it was originally the first time we see in history is Khalji. The Delhi Sultans had it. And then it really came into prominence in 1760 or 50 when Nadir Shah came and invaded. Like they used to come and took away. It was in part of the peacock crown. You see my point? And the Kohinoor was also there. So since this belongs to England, no one asked Iran to give that peacock throne or give back the Kohinoor, okay? Because it is just out of jealousy and enviousness. So enviousness and jealousy that they just keep talking about Kohinoor. Kohinoor was not a very much of a Prince Albert actually had to recut it. So it is now 105 carat. It used to be 180 carat. And I remember I have written about it somewhere 10, 12 years ago. So then 105 carat now, it was recut, then it got into prominence. The reason Kohinoor, sometimes things become important because it is part of the English, history. And since 1850, since it was gifted by Dalip Singh. The 10 years old Dalip Singh had gifted it after Maharaja Ranjit Singh lost the third battle. And once the Punjab was overtaken by the after 1857, and then it was before that Raja Ranjit Singh was defeated, and Dalip Singh gave Dalip, 10 years old here, had given it to with consent, of course. How much was that a consent and how was coercion? I don't want to talk about it. But in the era of wars, this is part and parcel. So it came, and then initially 1850 it was not very much liked. Then it was recut by Prince Albert, the German husband of Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria. So Victorian era, and then it was not even, Queen Victoria never put it in the crown. Can you imagine that? It was a brooch for her initially. It was actually, I think, in Queen's first time when Queen consort, King Edward VI, Queen's mother put it on her crown, first time. And then every Indian started talking about it. That's every continental. It would have been like any. Why don't you talk about the Noor, which is a sister pearl sitting in Iran?
When you're talking about every Indian, we like to
Pakistani also
to single out one gentleman, Shashi Tahur.
But that's a separate issue. We'll come back to him. But what I'm going to say this, the very basic nature without talking that to Kohinoor. Kohinoor got its importance because it's a part of a queen's crown or throne. If it was not a part, no one would care. You never talk about, what is the story of how Abdali got it. Abdali got it, it was in the turban of one of the remnants of the Mughal Empire, and when he defeated him, and Abdali was one of the generals of Nadir Shah. So they used to come and rape Delhi on occasions, every time. Saro ki fasal pak gayi hai hamare kaatne ke liye. Taraj, jisko bolte hain. So between Mir Taqi Mir to Mir Ghalib, 100 years of Delhi was always being destroyed by these Vandals coming across from the Khyber Pass. We talk so much bullshit about territorial integrity. We were fighting all the time. The entire history of subcontinent is infighting between the Raj was able to conquer from Palasi to battle to Raja Ranjit Singh, and then 1857 mutiny. But Raj was able to unite India in contiguity. India was never contiguous. India had 565 princely states. All these Maharajas have huge hand-type diamonds, and Nizam of Deccan has had many. They all lie in the treasury of India. None of them is ever famous. There are bigger diamonds and bigger jewelry available in India which can be displayed, but none of our museums are good enough. None of them get the notoriety that because of that one jewel that Kohinoor brought, and it gets its prominence because of Queen consort, Queen's mother. It was first of all came to the crown. What is displayed on the today in the funeral. Therefore, it burns a lot of people. But you have thousands of jewelry. Where is your Tower of London? Why didn't you show off what you have? You keep looking at these things. You have thousands of these. Why don't you ask Peacock Throne to come back from Iran? Why don't you go and make agreements with them to open a Chabahar? Why didn't you ask them to give you the Noor back? There are hundreds of jewels there. Ghazni and used to come and plunder, and used to take the entire, destroy the Sumnat, take all the money. Why did you get all these from Samarkand? All the things that are remaining there, and so plunder and loot and all, to focus on one small little thing I think it's a meanness, I have my own opinion, and I know many of you will not buy it. I don't care if you buy it or not, but the whole idea that you worry about, because the prominence has come because of the Raj, because of it became, otherwise in 1850, go and read it. Prince Albert got it recut.
Oh yeah, that's very unfortunate.
No,
it's
because
being
in
in vice as well. that
Like,
a lot
for
of people,
example,
yeah.
Shashi Tharoor, his entire prominence is because he can come and tell in Oxford University with all liberal democracy and all nicety that you people were not good and you have taken $45 trillion, the other historian, not him, that you have looted India and taken 45 trillion. This is such a nonsense, as you say. It is such a crap, because we buy it, because nationalism, false xenophobia. This is the worst kind of nationalism that Indians and Pakistanis have, that, oh, we have been looted. What we have been looted? Still, we have the lowest human food hunger is the highest. India is 101, dropped from 45, I told you, 2021. There are 250 million poorest of the poor in the world living in subcontinent, India and Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. What kind of, yes, we have created a second most richest man on the earth, but look at the Gini coefficient, look at the inequality of wealth. It's total disaster. What have we given? Do you see that kind of inequality here? No, that you don't see. Nation is known by its poor, how you keep your poor. Destitutes, you don't put in Jupiter and you don't have the floods, they come and we have nothing to see, nothing to offer them. So what I'm trying to say, that this is the kind of thing that inequity in India, since there was no concept of universal education. Do you know that? There was only 2%, 3% people who were going to primary school education until 1872 and 3, ladies. There was two kind of schools. One was the Brahmins could study, and ones were the Shrafiya, Muslim Shrafiya would study. Rest of it would not study. Yes, they say that $45 trillion. The entire economy of the world in year 1500, when it's all, if you look at from 1500 to, was $400 billion. Go and look at it. The entire population was so low. The reason India and China had 40% of the world economy was based on number of people, because they also were 40% of the world population. There was no North America. There was no. You see my point? World was very, very limited. You get it? What I'm trying to say? So to misrepresent economic numbers. So back in those days, 2000, 1500 to 2000, the line of the growth of economy has been a straight line. Look at one world statistics, and you'll find a straight line. It was only after 1750 that after the Industrial Revolution, after the Newtonian physics, after they were able to have internal combustion engine, after we were able to have calculus, rate of change, we were able to calculate so that we can design internal combustion engine, that we could empower steel, we can horsepower. Once we had the horsepower, once we had the inception of the industrial age, then poverty was eradicated. Then it took off. From there, from 1750 onwards, the economic prosperity and all this came about. There was no prosperity. This was the God-forsaken place. There was no $445 trillion. From where $45 trillion? Even the world economy now today is $100 trillion. Today, with Apple at $2.1 trillion, with Amazon as $2.1 trillion, newly wealth created. There was nothing to steal. Yes, can you show me any Mughal emperor who gave us any one canal except the pleasure canal of Jahangir Gardens, except one pleasure canal? Show me one in the history that any Mughal made, any canals, any systems, any schools. Primary school education started from 1874. This Shashi Tharoor has no idea. If without education, how could you? These 565 states would be fighting with each other. The first war of Panipat, when Babur and Abdali fought each other, one Rajput was supporting Babur and another Rajput was supporting Abdali, because he said if we can support Abdali, and the Rajput who was supporting Babur, he said, I will settle the score with Abdali later. Then Babur defeated him in the next war. So they were fighting amongst each other. The whole history of India, subcontinent is intestine wars between each other. Mahabharata is about war. The two cousins were fighting each other. Where is the peace? So to say that there was a contiguity and continuity and we were living and someone came and ripped up Sabat from Bengal, he was not from, if you look at Sirajud-Dowlah and if you look at other major walls that we say, Tipu Sultan and all, let's be honest, they were all minority leaders of a majority population which was not Muslim. So I know it hurts, but the fact of the matter is this whole story, either Muslim will buy it and Hindus will buy it because it feels that, all this prosperity has come. All this prosperity came because of science. From 1750, they took off. GDP of the world took off. It was not $445 trillion. This is, no one accepts it. No one of any iota of sensitivity will accept it. In Sindh, I have seen the reports. In 1880, 90, there are reports in House of Commons. I will take you to British Library next time you come, where it is saying that there will be famine in Sindh. Just now I put it on my site about the Lloyd's barrage. Why did they think about the Lloyd's barrage? Why a Mughal did not think?
And 70% of the water won't be on.
But because Sindh was only, it had too much of floods, and then otherwise to the rest of 7 months it had very little water. It is a glacial melt. So they created this barrage. The tail ends, there would be no, if there would be no Nara Canal and there will be no Rice Canal, there will be no Larkana and there will be no Sangar. So these are the kind of things that agriculture, transportation, locomotive, the kind of technology they brought. It was in real time. Because of the Raj, the technology came in real time.
Yeah.
They were having locomotive engines here. Within 30 years, locomotive engines were flying between Calcutta and Delhi and in Punjab, and that's the whole point. Yes, excesses were happening. Excesses happened all the time. That's the age of war. This is not the age of knowledge like today. In the age of knowledge today, we have people like Putin who you are supporting and buying oil from. So we always like to pick up fun. So the concept of universal education, the primary education, came by the Jesuits. With the inception of Raj, neither agriculture, nor transportation, nor telepost, nor telegram, nor industrial revolution, all these, we are benefactors of that. We speak English today because of the fact that we were trained. Otherwise, Afghanistan across the border has no Nishtar Medical College or Khyber Medical College. You see the difference all of a sudden from Afghanistan, Kabul to Peshawar. It was a summer capital of the Afghans. And the moment after the Durand Line agreement was signed, the trajectory of Peshawar was very different. They have an engineering college, they have a university, where Kabul had a university, Kabul had, but then it was not deep-rooted the way NWFP progressed on a different trajectory. And still, Punjab, Lahore traversed on a different trajectory. And still you can see the difference. And India, where it was more likely that they got education in English more, and in Bengal, Calcutta, therefore Bengalis created much more Nobel Prize winners, and then even Punjabis in Lahore, Punjab University, Chandrasekhar Limit, all these people graduated soon after they started, and even the man who knew infinity. So all these people, they were product of, they came here in Cambridge. Their pure talent was, science brings development. And luckily, we got that exposure. So, this whole concept about Kohinoor being stolen and $45 trillion, it's all nonsense. There is no basis of it. Today, 50% of the world economy is 45 trillion.
It's a very eye-opening
no primary education,
analysis.
No primary education, no rivers, no dams, no barrages, no water management. We would have been dying. So therefore we are grateful what has happened, and I think we should be grateful to that. And let's discuss one day a whole program with this, but Shashi, what he talks about is just inflaming kind of false history, fake history. And so there's other subcontinental people.
Thank you, Ike. That was very enlightening, I must say. So much to learn from, and we'll ensure that we share it with you all, so you have your uh, independent analysis of how he has explained the things are.
No, like
And-
you said, as I told you, the Kohinoor became the world best diamond not because Kohinoor is the world. No, it's not. There are other diamonds better than Kohinoor. Because it sits in the crown of Queen, it will have no value if you give it to them. Like, Eiffel Tower, it became great because it sits in the heart of Paris, it became the emblem of Paris. You give it back and it will have you dismantle it, it will have no value. So simply, there are hundreds of elements which are available in the deep treasury of Indian government that they can come out and show it off. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want you just want to put spanner in the work when you see the glory of others.
Yeah.
So that means it belongs to us. It belongs to nobody. Because if you are a Hindutva, first of all, it belonged to the first owner I told you was Khilji. So what claim do you have? And then it came to Nadir Shah. Then it came, Abdali took it over from the turban. It was in the turban. He kept it in the turban. Abdali, how he took it, it was in the turban. And he said, let's exchange the turbans. His Prime Minister told Nadir Abdali that this Nadir Shah and Abdali that he kept Kohinoor in his turban and exchanged. But then Abdali took it there.
That's lovely. It was amazing knowing all this,
And it has a
it's a very
wrong curse
significant.
for a man. It destroys. Only women can have this.
Yeah, we're going to remember this day for long, and hopefully we'll be
It's
talking
nice on
about this.
occasion, especially the day when Queen has passed away. We have talked such a good and tribute. The best tribute I can give.
Yeah, her
this,
funeral was done today.
to counter the evil, wrong, nonsense propaganda about Kohinoor, about $45 billion, about we own the world and they looted us. No, we are very grateful what has been given to us, and that's the reason we should pay a true homage and regards. And if you don't, take a glass of cold water and be happy.
Have your say. I'll look into the comments and we'll try to answer if you have some genuine queries. Wherever you are, look after yourselves. See you guys soon. Cheers.